virtual background. I uploaded the photo in.
What's up, Jets Nation? You're now watching Jets Guru. Now give it up for Daniel Smith and Tyrus Kennedy. I say give it up. What's up, Jets Nation? You are now watching Jets Guru. Now give it up for Daniel Smith and Tyrus Kennedy. I said give it up. What's up, Jets?
Welcome to the show. It's Hype and Live with Daniel and Tyrus, 8 p.m. Eastern, so set your time. Producer JR in the background, keeping it tight. We're breaking down games from morning till night. Kick it off with knowledge, let the insights flow. NY's a city where the football dreams grow. Jets Guru, we run it live. In the heart of the city, we keep the vibe. Jets talk, big plays, it's all that we do. Tune in, lock down, we got the Jets Guru. Jets Guru, Jets Guru, Jets Guru, Jets Guru. From Wesley Walker to West Star, we got the guests dropping knowledge on the mic. Can't ignore the best. Guru routine in effect, ready to engage. Live streams booming, turning a new page. Football articles seen on that screen. Every play dissected, know what we mean. Jets Guru, we run it live. In the heart of the city, we keep the vibe. Jets talk, big plays, it's all that we do. Tune in, lock down, we got the Jets Guru. So stay tuned to Flow the Thought every week. And why Jets fan hear the gang green we speak. So stay tuned, devoted thought every week. And watch Jets fan hear the gang green we speak. Stay tuned, devoted thought every week. And watch Jets fan hear the gang green we speak. Stay tuned, devoted thought every week.
What's going on, Jets Nation? CJ the Painkiller D. Simone here, and you are watching Jets Guru. Now, give it up for your host, Mr. Daniel Smith!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Jets Guru. Appreciate the support across the board. Thank you, YouTube, for tuning in. Thank you, Facebook, for tuning in. Mr. Tyrus Kennedy, thank you for being here as well. And JR, thank you so much for all the great graphics and everything you do for the show. Again, he is not doing anything more for free. Okay, those days are over. If you want his services, you must pay for his services. Do you understand? Because he's too busy, okay, being happy, living his life, okay, and then doing Jets Guru, okay? So you're going to have to pay the man if you want his services, okay? Now, putting that aside, I want to thank everybody. We've had such a great response the last couple of weeks. Again, we're rogue. We don't really have access to our main page, but we kind of do. It's a weird situation. So please join us on Jets Guru Live as well on Facebook, just in case we get completely eliminated from this one. But this is our base. This is where our people are, and not everyone's tuned in to Facebook all the time to see all the changes. But our last article on Jets Guru had 183 responses, likes, hates, laughs, loves, and had 114 comments and 46 shares. Our last episode had almost 1,500 plays. And the one before that had 1,500 plays as well. So I see that Jet fans are really excited. They're really excited to tune into Jets Guru every Wednesday night. And this is probably the biggest, most consistent crowd that we've had ever. So even though we don't have full control and we've been scrambling around trying to figure it out, you guys are still supporting us across the way. So we really, really, really thank you. But unfortunately, we do have to go through what happened Monday night. And it's a weird situation because the week is we're already on Thursday and the Jets play on Sunday. And then they turn around and play, I think, on Thursday again for the home opener. I mean, it's just it's a really crappy way, honestly, to start off a season with a team that really hasn't had time to gel. And there's a lot of new pieces. And Mr. Kennedy, I was really disappointed in the effort of the defense, and we'll dive into the particulars, but I want to get your opinion on it to start. But for me, it was really the effort of the defense. We saw the rust in Rodgers a little. We saw the rust of the offense, and we know that. But the defense is really what surprised me on Monday.
It stink. I mean, there's really no other way, to say these things. But and I'll talk about it a little later. There was some good in it, but for me, what it came down to was two P's: play calling, personnel. Right now, I don't know if they thought, "Hey, Christian McCaffrey's out. This shit about to be sweet." I don't know if they thought that or felt that or whatever. But I didn't like the play calls. I didn't like the personnel. They running the ball down your throat and you're not loading the box or anything. That was my biggest gripe of the game, was the fact that, you letting this guy manhandle you. Trent Williams is manhandling you. And, four other guys we really don't care about or know about that well outside of, the fan base or whatever. No disrespect. But y'all let them guys, most of you around, with four in the front. And my thing is load the box. You have 3 top 15 cornerbacks. Let them earn that money. Load that box.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I agree. It was kind of weird to watch them get chewed up like that. And if we remember, I was speaking about that last episode where I talked about, are the Jets going to be able to stop the run, because they aren't hefty up front, and all you have to do is double team Quinnen Williams, and then it's like you're really kind of thin up against the big nasties up front, and so the Jets really have to utilize their athletic ability and their speed to be able to get to the quarterback. And unfortunately, because the 49ers got on a roll running the football, they were a little hesitant to do a few things. And honestly, I'm with you on that. I would have stacked the box 100% coming out of halftime and just say, listen, we're getting killed with the run. Purdy is starting to get comfortable back there. Yeah. He's getting into a rhythm. And if you notice, the Jets got into a lot of situations where they would put the 49ers in the third down, but because the inability of the front line to get to the quarterback is only so long you can cover. And that's when Purdy was starting to pick the Jets apart in the second half. It was just getting really annoying to me because I like him as a quarterback. I like his faith. I like his makeup as a leader, but I'm not necessarily impressed by anything he does. But if you keep him clean, these are professionals, guys. These are guys that, they'll beat everybody else but these guys that you see next to them. There's levels to it when you get there, but everyone else is toast. A lot of these guys that we say suck in the NFL, if you go back to their high school tape, they were like one of the most touted people in the whole state at the time when they were playing in high school. So right. there's levels to it. And if you keep them clean, and you got guys like Ayuk, and you got guys like Samuels, and you guys got like Kittle and all these other guys, it makes it a lot easier. And I felt like the Jets early on in the game, remember when you saw Samuel say, you got to put the ball out here, the one that Sauce knocked out, because they were moving Purdy just slightly. They were hyped up. They were moving him. But once they implemented that run, it settled Purdy down. I believe the 49ers started to build confidence up front, and you really started to see a game plan. Now, here is something that I wanted to talk about that I found interesting that Bart Scott said. Bart Scott came out and said, well, listen, I don't take any stock really into this as far as the defense is concerned, because Saleh is playing against a guy that knows all his secrets. Shanahan knows all of his secrets. He knows the little tells, the little calls, the little checks. He knows the philosophy in which how Saleh wants to deploy his defense and use his guys. And he is already a master play caller as it is. And now he has inside information on the coach across the way that nobody else has, because he worked with the guy and he knows the insights in which it takes to run his football team. So the thing about it is, he was like, listen, let's see how they look against the next 3 opponents before we kind of judge this, because for me, he laid it out. He laid out a whole scenario where I think it was, I don't know if it was the Patriots. It's some team that they were playing, the Steelers, something, but they knew everything that the Ravens wanted to do. And he goes, we didn't allow anything all year long, but we played this team. It was a former coaching tree type of thing. And he's like, we got ran through. He goes, this type of stuff happens, and that's why you don't really see the understudies really beat the top head of the tree very often, because they know more about them than they know about the head leader.
Right. Yeah, and that goes to a comment you got on the screen there. Scott Cleespy said, but doesn't that go the other way? Solid should know what the offense is supposed to do. Not really. And let me tell you why. Those Shanahans, him and his daddy were masterminds, right? You know, when you look at, let's use a Star Wars reference. When you look at, you know, the Padawan and you know the Jedi Master, he ain't teaching him everything he knows. You know a few hand tricks, you can move this and that, but he's not telling you every single thing, right? So then you have the fact that there's, like you said, there's levels in everything. There's levels in coaching, right? Shanahan is an A+ coach, right? And Saleh is C- at best. At best, you know, one dimensional, and that was getting exposed, you know, that we saw. So, you know, I kind of agree with what Bart says. I wouldn't put a lot of stock into it, but I am thoroughly disappointed in the way they looked, right? Like we gave our predictions. We both said win. Yours was a little more extreme than mine, a lot more extreme. But we, you know, that's how confident I am in this team with the personnel that it has, the players that it has. So, you know, we lost bad. You know, it was against the second best team in the league, you know, coming, you know, off the Super Bowl with against the best team in the league. So it is what it is. But like you said, we got these next three: Tennessee, the Patriots, the Vikings. Like, I expect to be 3-1. I expect that because, you know, again, I know it's not one on paper, but on paper, this is a much better team. And they need to perform like it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, I can understand losing to a team that just went to the Super Bowl last year, and you trying to piece this together, even though it's a talented roster, it doesn't have any experience together with Aaron Rodgers and everything together. But you shouldn't have got embarrassed like that. And
Right.
the thing that bothered me too is, where's the halftime adjustment? You know, there really wasn't any adjustments then in both energy from the team and schematics. And something that really bothers me is Hackett now has Aaron Rodgers, and for a second, I'm sitting there wondering, you have Aaron Rodgers, why are you calling plays like Zach Wilson is still the quarterback?
Yeah.
Like, run, pass is so predictable, and I get it. Maybe the first series, like, hey, listen, all right, he hasn't played. Remember, play 4. You want to at least get through play 4 because it's probably in the back of your mind, even subconsciously. I get it. But you don't go series into run, pass. And then the one time you have success, that is when you open it up. And who do you feed that whole entire drive? Garrett Wilson. I think he had 4 or 5 catches on that drive alone. That is how you work your superstars. When you watch the 49ers, they feed McCaffrey in that same way. If you did not remember the first game of the season, what was it? When we played the Panthers and we opened up, how they used McCaffrey and how people have used McCaffrey this whole career because he's an A-star and you get the most out of your A-star while he's still an A-star. And sometimes I just don't get it. You had success, I would have went right back to that. Show me you could stop Garrett Wilson. Just show me, and then we'll move and we'll pivot to something else. Because something that wasn't working was running the football. It was not working at all. They weren't able to get any type of penetration, and Brees isn't the type of guy that's going to dance and roll off and try to hit an edge. That's not it. It's one move, and he's up in the hole, and if there's nothing there, it's a 2-yard gain. And that's how he is as a runner. I would have did something more with some screens, with some outs, like just something to take away from that pressure on the edges because, I think in all, the offensive line, they did pretty good in pass protection, all in all. I thought Aaron Rodgers played well. I thought, especially for being gone, coming off an injury like that, he had zip on the football, looked a little slow when he had to break it down and kind of hit the edges, but that's expected. He's probably also not pushing it, being a little ginger on the rollout until he clears a straightaway path, and that's natural. He'll open up a little bit more as the season goes on. But when you really look at it, it really was the defense that let this team down from start to finish. I didn't like how Hackett played it. I didn't like that we couldn't run the football. But at the end of the day, if we don't give up almost 160 yards on the ground, 50 yards, what it was, this game is much closer, much, much closer. The Jets got dominated up front, and they weren't able to do anything. And what's a little scary is that if the Jets basically got a blueprint on how to stop them game one.
Right.
Now it's up to the Jets to prove that it was just a fluke and we were playing a great team and these types of things happen and we were trying to gel. Because if we come out this week and we play the Titans and you go out there and you see some nonsense and the Jets are giving up 134, 164 yards to Tony Pollard, the Jets are going to have a tough afternoon because that means it's going to allow Will Levis to be able to go out and throw the football with relative ease, and you're not going to put that pressure on him because he's still a young quarterback trying to find his way. Yeah. So, the Jets have a lot of work to do, and I hope it was a fluke, and I hope we could just move on from this game and it'd just be like, all right, an asterisk.
So here's some of the things that bothered me, right? Now, we couldn't run the ball. I get it. But you didn't, you should have switched it up. Let Braylon come in there. Let him hit that hole. Use him. When the game was still in relatively close reach to where we don't have to just throw. You should have brought Allen in. Another thing, you drafted a guy that you yourselves call, hey, he's baby Debo. Well, baby, where he at? Put him on the perimeter. Let him run those wide receiver screens. Let's throw some jet sweeps. Let's get him involved. He is, if you watched him, he is a matchup nightmare. Now I get it. He's a rookie, and his route tree is kind of limited and this and that, but still put the ball in his hands. If he can't run a 9 route, great. Or if he can't run the 7, if he can't run the in and outs correctly, then damn it, use screens. He can run that. Put the ball in the hands of your playmakers, right? And they just did not do that and didn't try to do that. So early on, Hackett is still Hackett from the last year, and he got to get away from that. If anything, let Aaron call the plays.
Yeah.
Look, bro, you are OC in name only now. It's not working. Throw 3 or 4 plays out, and Aaron would decide, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Or when I get to the line, I'm doing whatever I want. Because whatever's Hackett calling just ain't working in the situations that they're in. So that is the biggest thing. Just like the defense, the 2 Ps, play calling and personnel. Same on the offense. And they got to get better on both sides. But again, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into it. Because it was the 49ers. Bosa and Floyd was giving them tackles hell, but they held up quite well. Hargrave was giving them hell up the middle. That was the problem, right? So anytime you choke off those lanes and you do nothing about it, you get what we get, which is Breece having 3.4 yards a carry, looking like Sean fall forward Green. No, I'm sorry, not falling forward Green, just falling down Green. When he get hit, that's who he looked like a lot last night. And also, speaking of him, I'm glad he took accountability for his play. He knew he stunk, and he owned up to it. And I hope he makes up for it. So there's a lot to look forward to in the Titans game, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But what we saw with the 49ers, I hope it's more of an outlier than the norm, because if it's not, it's going to be a long year.
It's going to be a really long year. I mean, when you're talking about a team that's supposed to be this dynamic defensively, and the only tackles for loss that you had were on the 3 sacks, I mean, you didn't stop that running back a bit. I mean, everybody was falling forward in that running back room. We cannot have that. That will completely ruin this defense. And honestly, optically, as a fan, it's just so bad to watch, because the team, the Jets have had it. I remember the DeBrickashaw Ferguson type of years before they replaced him, and how they were not Ferguson, DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I can't get the last name. Oh my gosh, Kentucky. Who's that guy? The defensive lineman. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. But those years, it just, when the team is always at 2nd and 3, the team is at 2nd and 4, 2nd and 2, it just makes it so easy to get first downs. And optically, it just looks like you're getting eaten up. And then once a drive or twice a drive, you'll have the team 3rd and 7, but then he can't get to the quarterback, and then he'll eat you apart like that. And it's just so taxing as a fan to watch. I cannot stand it. I can understand giving up points. I can understand teams having drives every once in a while, but to be a good football team, to allow a team to have 8 straight scoring possessions is just pathetic. It really, really, really was. And so again, it's just no one's on a ledge or anything, but we got to run a show. So we got to talk about these things, man. You know, we can't just make one line, say, good night, the Jets Guru's out. So, we're going into these things that we notice. We're going, because you know what? One time might be a mistake, but if it happens again, you're going to look back to that Monday night and you're going to say, they got a game plan on how to stop the Jets. And I guarantee you, the Jets will go out and make some kind of move to grab a couple of bodies if this happens again in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So, to address the comment, listen, I am by far, an optimistic person. I'm not one of those Chicken Little type of fans where, oh my God, the sky is falling. But what I am is a complete realist. I'm an honest dude. I'll tell you a story, but I won't tell you a lie. And that's how, I'm approaching this. And, again, we'll get to the good we saw in a couple minutes. But, I mean, we have to say what it is. Like, I don't believe in sugarcoating for, you guys. I don't sugarcoat real life of my kids or to my friends or anything like that. So it's just the reality of it. And the reality of it is they sucked a lot. There was some good, but overall, by and large, it just didn't pass muster from what we heard in practice and what we heard in, in training camp and what we heard from the guys. So that expectation was there. And even a lot of fans was like, we don't expect to win the game. We expect to compete. That's it. Like, if they competed, we'd have probably stopped talking about it 5-6 minutes ago. But they didn't. So, here we are. And again, hopefully it's an outlier and not the norm. And these conversations will be a lot more, fun and a lot happier and a lot more cheery. But right now, it is what it is, and what it is ain't good.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's you have to go through these things when you're breaking down a football team. And they're, when you look at the defense, they were the major cause of this. And they're the ones that talk the most. And they're the ones that still talk the most. And so it's one of those things where if you're going to be that team, and you know what, maybe that's what they needed. You had people that came out and said, hey, maybe a team this cocky, but very talented, but this cocky, got a little taste like, hey, no, guys, this is a Super Bowl, caliber team.
We're not that.
Yeah, let's slow down a little bit and get into some rhythm here and kind of, you're talking about 3 winnable games. And when I mean by winnable games coming up, I'm talking about 3 locks. Like I got like me, I'll put money each and every week on the New York Jets for the next 3 weeks. I'll take them for 150 right now, $50 a game. The Jets win the next 3 games because those teams, you cannot let Sam Darnold beat you. You cannot let Jacoby Brissett beat you. You can and talk like you're the number 1 defense. And the Patriots at home for the opener? No, that can't happen. No. So, and so for me, the way I look at it is, I am still very optimistic. It sucked because I just wanted to be a little bit more excited about the night. And when we scored that first touchdown, I was like, okay, here we go. They got something here. They got a formula. Let's roll with it. And then they went back into the run, pass, and then turnover, and then halftime. And then it just kind of went from there. And you could kind of see the slow changing over when they couldn't stop the run. I said, that's it. Because you can't control anything. I mean, that young man Purdy was just back there, just really just comfortable throwing the football. And they're thinking to themselves, this is the toughest defense in the league. Maybe we're going back to the Super Bowl then. It was really not a good showing by the team. But you know what? You might look back on week 15 or 13 or 14 and say, wow, that was literally the worst performance of the season for the defense. So you don't know. Again, you don't know, but we're going to find out pretty soon. But let's get into the next segment, and we're going to kind of just give our grades, the good, the bad, and the ugly of some of the players that we choose here, because you know what? These guys got to be graded out, and, I guess we'll see what the grades are. Mr. Kennedy, I'll let you go first with how do you want to start it? You want to start with the good to the ugly or the ugly to the good? How do you want to do it?
We'll go good, bad, ugly.
Okay, let's do that. So go ahead and start and give us your goods.
So my good is consistent of probably 2 or 3 things. What's good was Aaron Rodgers made it through the game unhurt. That was great. And he was actually like the 4th ranked QB passer according to PFF with this play. So that was good. Staying with quarterback, seeing Tyrod Taylor do that drive that he did and lead the score and look good doing it. That's another good. So we in good hands in case Aaron has missed a game or 2. Another thing was good was the O-line pass protection. They were the 2nd ranked O-line this week when it comes to giving up pressures and sack rate. So that is a positive. Tyron Smith looked great, played great. Morgan Moses looked good over on the right side. Still got to clean up some things in the middle to get that run game going. But overall, the line looked 1,000% better than last year. And that's another good. And the final good that I got is Allen Lazard. He bounced back from that big 3rd down drop, had 6 for 86 and 2 touchdowns or something like that. So hopefully that is the beginning of something, and this stage coach don't turn back into a pumpkin when it comes to him for the rest of the season. So that was a good. The bad, we already talked about everything that was bad. Play calling, personnel, no adjustments, tackling was terrible. But all of that can be fixed. Also, why is Leonard Taylor sitting and Patterson playing? Swap that.
Yep.
You need to swap that. And the ugly is Jermaine Johnson. And the reason why I say this, yes, it's partially because of how he played, but what made it ugly is what I'm about to read to you guys. When asked about Titans QB Will Levis, he said he's a talented athlete and can throw the ball pretty well. But just watching film and just understanding some things about him, especially when he comes out, he's one of those guys that when things aren't going his way, he kind of can panic a little early. That's ugly because you sucked against San Francisco. Shut up. Go sack somebody. Go stop the run. Then come back and start talking crazy about somebody else. Until then, in the words of the great poet laureate Kendrick Lamar, stay humble, sit down. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. And I'm with you on that. I mean, this is not the time to do that. I think the quiet assassin is probably where you want to go with this one. And then after you attack, you could say, "See, we told you it was just a fluke. We're back on it." But
Exactly.
now you put more pressure on yourself to come out and play. And you know what? You're going to be on the road again. And the Titans let a victory slip out of their hands, and you better be ready to go get that young quarterback. He struggled, but he's also shown a lot of promise at the same time. He's kind of
Mm-hmm.
he's only going to be on the fence all year long on what people think he's actually going to be. But for me, my good, definitely Aaron Rodgers. I think to be gone, and you got to remember too, you're talking about a full off season, 4 plays, then a full year and another off season. So it's a long time since he's really been out there and got out there, and he looked pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, he had a top 5, top 6 QBR or something like that, or rating. And I think he did well. I think what I was really impressed with is the zip he had on the ball, and a lot of the throws that he made with the zip, they weren't flat-footed. It was him kind of stepping up in the pocket like he does. He's got those Zach Wilson mechanics that we all love, but he actually executes it. So it's a little bit different. But I liked his arm talent. I liked his leadership when it got really loud, and what he was able to do. And that's why I agree with you with the play calling. I just think that the Jets performed better when he was checking at the line, and then they were just going to. I can almost guarantee at least 2 to 3 of those receptions to Garrett Wilson were checks to him off of something else, because it was so loud and the different things that were going on in the stadium. And I prefer that, because Hackett just really bores me with his play calling. So I said Aaron Rodgers would be the good. Tony Adams was kind of all over the place, PD, sack, quarterback hit, 12 tackles, so he was all over the place. Yeah, the Jets' just inability to stop the run. It's hard to really put any good on much of anything else on the game as far as the defensive side of the ball. It was tough. It was a really, really, really tough performance. I thought early in the game, Sauce was really locked in on the receivers. He got dinged up a bunch the whole game. He was just kind of he's a slender guy. Sauce is the type of guy, he'll do well running down the field, trying to go up and get picks, knocking things out. But like being in the box down there and then being tight in the open space, and he gets hit by other guys, it's just he's just too thin, man. So he's got to stay out of it. But I like the way I saw from Aaron Rodgers, like you said, Tyrone Smith. But it wasn't a whole lot. They didn't work the tight ends. So I guess going into the bad was just honestly the play calling. The play calling was so bad. Like, you didn't utilize your roster properly. Like you said, Braylon Allen, he should have been in a lot earlier just to change the pace. Like, hey, let's put this big body guy on that defensive line and see if it opens up some holes for Breece Hall. We don't care. We're just going to run straight up the middle and just boom, let's go. Let's hit it. None of that really happened. Again, they attacked with Garrett Wilson, and then all of a sudden didn't really go back to him. Why even say Mike Williams is healthy if you're not going to use him? Conklin wasn't used hardly at all. I mean, it's just you got a good tight end. I don't understand it. Now, I forgot to agree with you in the good with Lazard. Yeah. But I do agree with you with Lazard 100%. He did well. I knew that was going to happen, though, with Aaron back, because they just know each other. So you should see a bounce back for him. But, there's not much that I could really say as far as the offense picking on them. This is all play calling, coaching, and defense. So I would say the play calling, the coaching, I would say is bad. There was no halftime adjustment whatsoever. They couldn't find a way to get to Purdy and at least move him off his center point so that, you could go after him and maybe cause a turnover, maybe help your ends out and your rushers so they don't have to pull inside. They could just use that athletic ability to go and attack on the outside. And, because you have pressure up the middle to flush out that quarterback, it's going to help your attackers on the outside because they just have to peel off. And now you have the tackle chasing them to try to get a block so they can protect their quarterback. So for me, it just the whole thing across the board with the play calling was awful. And the ugly, obviously, is the defensive line specifically. I'm not really going to pick on the secondary because they didn't allow any touchdowns either, and they damn well should have with the amount of running that was done on them. They probably should have got 2 dumped on them, just because of all the running. It would have put them in positions to be able to throw the ball. So again, I think they held their own considering they had no help up front, both in the run game, and then you're unsure of that too, as a safety, or unsure of that as a corner. You just got to peek back a little extra because you don't know, are they running again? Do I need to help? Do I need to get in position? So it's, it really, the defensive line, it starts there. Again, you put pressure on the quarterback. They let go of the ball sooner than they have to before a receiver has to come out of their break or before the receiver gets set and planted. The defender has the advantage because he is looking at the play, whereas the offensive player has to look back at the play. So when you make a quarterback throw the ball earlier than he should, the defender has that much of a split decision over that receiver. And this is where you can get turnovers and you can have the defense make plays and put your team in advantage. But when your team is getting gashed with the run, everyone's trying to help eliminate it. You're kind of playing a dual role at that point. You're not locked in 100%. It's a little different. The team is really reeling. You had cornerbacks covering, and they couldn't touch. Again, you can only cover so long. So that would be the good, the bad, and the ugly for me. And let's move on to this Titans game and then maybe potentially talk about some success.
Hey, real quick, producer JR said the good is Rodgers and Garrett, the bad is the Jets D, and the ugly is coaching.
Yep. I mean, pretty much I think everybody could agree with that kind of rotation in there. I think everybody was pretty happy to see what Rodgers did, consecutive third downs converted and, getting in the end zone early. Like, you kind of, we struggled to do those types of things last year. To see that and like right off rip, you kind of see it. You're like, all right, we're going to be okay. These guys are just getting started, especially if we can run the football. Forget about it. But yeah, let's move on to the Titans game, brother. You started off.
All right, so this has to be a bounce back game. The Titans, they're coming off a tough loss to Chicago. I believe they was robbed. Let them tell it. I didn't watch it. I'm probably gonna go back and look at it and kind of see some things, but I'm not gonna sit and say, hey, this is a cakewalk. I expect for the Jets to win. This still is a professional team that they are playing. And Pollard and Tajay Spears both are pretty good. They have 2 good wide receivers. One maybe a Hall of Famer in Hopkins, and then you have Calvin Jacksonville. You know what I'm talking about. Ridley. Yeah. So they have weapons. They do have Levis in his second year. He looked pretty decent last year. So they do have, their work cut out for them. Now I will say again, this is a very, very winnable game. And I have 3 keys to victory for the Jets. One is obviously stop the run. Okay. You have to stop the run. Like you said earlier, you cannot let Pollard get you for 160. That's not going to happen. You got to stop the run. Number 2, you got to run the ball. Okay. Last week against San Francisco, there was almost a 2-to-1 time difference in time of possession. Jets had it 21 minutes and San Francisco had it 39 and some change. Okay, so you got to be able to run the ball to control the clock, and wear them down. And three, you have to apply pressure up front on both the run and the pass game. So in order to do that, I think one, they need to activate Leonard Taylor III. For the life of me, I cannot understand why they would stop the momentum that kid built over those 3 preseason games. Like, he was a force in both the run defense and in the pass defense. You know, he had multiple tackles for loss. He had multiple sacks. And what do? You say, hey, buddy, thanks. Go sit down over there. We gonna put this ham and egger Patterson up in there and sit you down. I ain't like that. I ain't like that at all. So they need to do all those things. And if they do, they will come out on top, man. Because you get that pressure up front, you know, you got some dogs back there with Sauce, with Reed, with Adams, with Michael Carter II. Even if he's hurt, you still got Brandon Eccles, who can go start for 10, 12 teams right now as CB2. Like, you got all those people back there that, you know, can take over the game, but you got to get pressure up front. So you fix that, you fix a lot of your defensive struggles. You fix the bad tackling. You'll fix the linebackers getting used. You'll fix all of that if you dominate the front. So that's what I got.
Absolutely, man. And listen, like you said, you called it out. And, you know, the way that the Titans lost, it was just weird. You know, like, they were up 17-3. The Bears marched back. They were able to put pressure on Levis. Levis made some really bad mistakes. You know, if the Jets aren't able to get to the quarterback like Purdy and they allow him to sit back there, they, like you said, they do have weapons. Now, they ran for, if I'm trying to see here, they ran for 5.4 yards per carry in that game. Like, the Titans ran for 140 yards. Like, Will Levis can move the football a little bit. He ran 4 carries, 36 yards, a 9.0 average. So he can move with the football now. Okay, and they have a few guys that can run it. They have some backups that can run too. So as a collective unit, they ran 26 times for 140 yards, 5.4 yards per carry. So this is how they're going to attack you. They're going to attack you how the 49ers did. They're going to start off with the run. If you could shut that down and put them in long third down situations early in the game and allow Rodgers to apply pressure offensively, get good field position, then we could start to cement ourselves, have a good game where you look up and it's, 27-14, and you're like, all right, we're kind of slow running the ball with Breece, bring Braylon Allen in, kind of beat up on those guys, and kind of coast over to a win late in the fourth quarter. But if you're not able to do that, and Tennessee's able to run the football like they were able to run the football on the Bears early, there's going to be some problems, okay? Because they made critical mistakes, and if you're just going to count on teams making critical mistakes and blowing a 17-point lead, like, you can't really play like that. You got to be dominant. So again, I'm very interested. And also remember, Tennessee they have Tyler Boyd as well. So, Hopkins. So Hopkins is just coming back, but Tyler Boyd was a good receiver with Cincinnati, and he plays out of that slot. So they have some weapons that can play across the board. This isn't, the first game again, I think there was one pass that Levis threw and he had his head on his hands, like, oh no, like, he's a young guy. He's like making mistakes and figuring it out. I think they were really amped up, and, they kind of just lost it because you look at Chicago in that game. I mean, Caleb Williams just looked dreadful, to be honest with you, which is fine in your first game, whatever, that's going to happen. But the Bears weren't able to run the ball either. Well, guess what? The Jets weren't able to run the ball last week either. So If the Titans could stop the Jets from running the ball, and the Titans could run the ball like the 49ers did last week, this is going to be a close damn game. I mean, Chicago they had a 3.8 yards per carry on 22 carries. Okay, so Tennessee almost doubled that rushing total. So I can't say that the Jets are going to be able to run the ball because I haven't seen them run the ball yet. I really haven't seen that yet. So it's hard to really say. Now, there was obviously the Bears were able to get to Levis, and that was the difference in the game. When you look at the Bears, okay, the Bears had 10 quarterback hits, okay, 10 quarterback hits on Levis, including who was it? I'm looking at this right here. DeMarcus Walker had 4 quarterback hits. So they had, if I'm not mistaken here, they had 3 sacks, 10 quarterback hits, 4 passes defense. Okay. They had 70 tackles, so total, TJ Edwards had 15 on his own. This is the type of effort it's going to take against this young man. Like, you can't just necessarily sleep on him. Like, this is what it took for the Bears to overcome a 17-point lead with no offense. They needed to play really good defense because there are weapons for this Tennessee team.
Yeah, I do agree, man. Andrew Weckler in the comment, he said, it has to be a defensive bounce back game, period. Everything else should fall into place. Expect Rodgers to take it up a notch and get better and better each week. Time of possession will be normal. And that's all we ask. The defense bounce back. Like I said, our defense, the star, the heart, the soul of our defense is that front 4. That front bounces back. Everybody else will fall into place. Like I said, the linebackers won't look bad like they did at times. The defensive backs will be able to make plays because the wide receivers won't have time to do double moves and this and that and the third. So that's what it is. They bounce back, the team bounces back, and we win the game. Just that simple, bro.
Absolutely. And can we give a little shout out to Tyrod Taylor as well, for coming out and just garbage time stuff, but you go out there and play a little football, pad your stats a little bit, build your confidence just in case, anyone goes down. I like that.
He built his confidence. Hell, he built mine.
Yeah. Because
how it was last year. All the eggs were in the Aaron Rodgers basket and it had a hole in it. And we saw what happened after that. So thank you, Tyrod.
So what are you thinking about the score, man? I think I'm going, for me, I know I went bold last week, but hey, it looked good before the defense decided to not stop the run. I mean, 7-3, I was like, come on now. The way they use Garrett, they're going right back to Garrett. Next drive, and they're going to work it up again. Zuerlein's going to get a field goal. It's going to be 10-3. And we're just going to go ahead and keep rolling on to Dan's 30-17 prediction. Now, what Hackett decided to do was he must have thought Zach Wilson was still quarterback. But this game, I think Aaron Rodgers can't go down 0-2. He's not going to have it that way. So I'm telling you right now, Breece Hall this, Breece Hall that, whatever you want to say, if it's not working, I guarantee you the Jets are going to spread it out a little bit more and start throwing the football. And they're not going to wait as long to figure out if Breece Hall can get it together in that game or not. Because the Jets need to score some points, especially if they're not stopping the run. What you're going to want to do is say, hey, okay, we can't stop the run today. We'll find a couple big bodies just to, rotate them in and out next week or two. But today, we need to score some points and put some pressure on this young man to see if he can keep up with Aaron Rodgers. And that's how we're going to get the ball back because we can't stop the run. And that's what they would have to do at that point. Because, again, everyone could say all they want. It was just one game, Dan. Guru, come on, relax. Listen, first off, I am relaxed. I'm not going crazy or nothing. But I've seen this show and dance before. So until you come out and you prove it to me that you could stop the run, I'm seeing a lot of slender bodies down there. Yeah. I'm looking down there and I'm like, are those wide receivers? I mean, Johnson looks like a wide receiver. I mean, these guys are thin down there. I mean, granted, they're bigger than me. That's not what I'm saying. But, it's just to stop the run. You better come with something because they're going to move. They're going to double Quinnen Williams. It makes too much sense not to, because what they're saying is we're gonna double your best player up front, and we feel like the rest of the guys we can handle one-on-one. Heck, we think that we can allow one rusher to come through free and still be okay because we'll be able to run the football. Because you won't be able to continually send that rusher if we're able to run the football. So you're going to have to play a little safer because then I can hit you with the play action and then you're in trouble. So the Jets need to fix this. This is my main concern. I can't wait to see it. With all that being said, I do think that they will show up. I think at least if they can't stop the run, they'll be able to touch the quarterback as well. And for me, if the Jets are able to put points on the board early, they're going to have to abandon the run somewhat and have to lean more on the passing. And that could play into the defense because the Jets offense might have to save the Jets defense a couple of times this year if they can't stop the run by putting up points. And that's a good way too, because that will force teams to make mistakes. So I'm okay with that. But they have to be one or the other if they're going to be great this year, because they're going to either have to put up points or they're going to have dominant defensive play while they're allowing Aaron Rodgers and company to build it together. Because there's too much expectations on the line, man. The time for talking is over. Time for results are here. The Jets win 27-17. So that's my prediction for the game.
27-17. So for you gamblers, right now the over/under is 40.5, and the Jets are 3.5-point favorites. And I'm kind of leaning towards that. I'm thinking more like a 24-20, with Tennessee scoring like a late touchdown. It's 24-13 with a minute or left or whatever, and they get that late garbage touchdown like we got last week to beat the spread. So I'm going 24-20 Jets.
All right, so we got 27-17 and 24-20 Jets. I tried, guys, to do the post-game report and go live. I think because we don't have full access to the account, it doesn't allow me to do that from there. I don't know why, but whatever. So I'll try to upload it this time from Jets Guru Live if that doesn't work. So please, if you guys are on YouTube, if you're on Facebook on our Jets Guru, please go to Jets Guru Live after the show on Facebook and add yourself. So then that way, if we lose complete access, you can still catch our show every week and we can still reach you with our articles, because it's been real fun interacting with people before the season and during the season. Like I said, a lot of eyes have been on our show, on our articles, and we're really excited, to do some new things, this season and, do some giveaways. I can't make all my Jets games. So if we could get enough support, enough shares, I don't mind giving away a ticket. And I have nice tickets, like pretty much in one end zone, front row, no one in front of you, 200 section, real nice seat. We have some t-shirts that designs that we've got made. So we want to get into some cool stuff. So please share the show. YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Facebook, thank you for tuning in. Whole Jets Guru crew. We got people behind the scenes doing some things for us too as well. And I want to point out all the pages that allow us to share. Thank you so much. If there's any admins that are working, that are working, that are on, that push our stuff through. Sometimes it has to be allowed, and they don't wait till the next day. They just literally they just roll it right through. So I really, really appreciate the support with that, because you don't have to do that. I know there's been times when I first got started on the page where people were like, oh, you can't post your personal stuff on here. But a lot of the pages that we are on, they didn't do that. They were like, hey, this guy's hustling. He's doing his own thing. And so I really, really, really appreciate the support 100%. I appreciate you, Victor. I appreciate, even the people that were on the show in the past and helped building Jets Guru up, Andrew, everyone sharing, Kevin, at Live Rounds, everybody. So I really, really appreciate you guys and everything that you built up. But now we're doing something different. We got my man Tyrus on. We're going to completely take this to a whole new level. And I'm excited for that. And so thank you for tuning in. JR, thank you so much for everything. Jets Guru out.
What's up, Jets Nation? Good now, I'm watching Jets Guru. Now give it up for Daniel Smith and Tyrus Kinney. I say give it up. What's up, Jets Nation? You are now watching Jets Guru. Now give it up for Daniel Smith and Tyrus Kinney. I said give it up. Yeah.